Everyone wants to know today where we're at with the recession, right? Is it inevitable? Did it start? I don't know. But what I can tell you is we've been in a customer service recession for over 4 years. And everyone listening, everyone attending is a customer service expert because we're all customers.
Hey, property management friends. Welcome to This Week in Property Management. I'm your host, Jeremy Pound from RentScale. Have you ever pulled up to the drive-thru at a Chick-fil-A? It's different than any other drive-thru that you've ever been through, right? And down the street from me, there's probably a line around the block right now with a fleet of smiling people not waiting for you to reach the menu board with a speaker, but coming to you and taking your order. They exceed expectations on one of the most common and simple transactions in food service. And today, I'm excited to introduce you to our guest, John DiJulius, the authority on world-class customer service. He's worked with companies like the Ritz-Carlton, Starbucks, Celebrity Cruises, and yes, Chick-fil-A. John's also a featured speaker at our Strategic PM Summit that we're hosting in August here in Fort Lauderdale. I'm happy to tell you, not too far away is a Chick-fil-A, so you can experience that drive-thru yourself. And the reason that I want to introduce you to John is that he refuses to accept industry standards or traditions as the best or the only way to do things. He knows that we're all in the people business, and he wants to show you how world-class service can be a profit center and not just a cost to be cut. John's going to be part of our workshop and share his stories and ideas that will inspire you to innovate your owner and your employee experiences at your property management company. If you want to know more about that, just go to strategicpm.com and check out the exclusive event that we're hosting in August for only 60 property management entrepreneurs and executives. Now, John's the author of 6 books on employee and customer experience, and he speaks on some of the largest business stages all over the world. And we're going to have him right in front of you just for 60 companies at our summit. I'm excited to share my recent conversation with John on the customer service recession, right after a quick word from one of our sponsors.
Hi there. Did you know that RentScale hosts one of the largest communities of property management sales professionals in North America? Well, my name is Reese Register, and I'm actually a previous BDM and currently a scale coach here at RentScale. We provide over 20 hours monthly of teaching and training and accountability to make sure that our BDMs are supercharging their sales business through inbound, outbound, and allbound. So if you're interested in learning more about supercharging your business, go over to rentscale.com. We'll be glad to schedule a consult and see how we can help you transform your business today.
All right, I'm here with John. John is a speaker that I saw at my first EO event. Gosh, it's probably 10 years ago, John. I don't know if you remember this, but it was like a fledgling new EO member, and I was in Philadelphia, I think it was. And I walked to the first cocktail hour early, and there was 2 people around the snacks, maybe having drinks, I don't remember. And I walked up and introduced myself, and it was you and Rory Vaden. And I had no idea who either of you guys were. And that was the first time I met you 10 years ago. And I've been following your stuff ever since then. So John DiJulius, one of our speakers at the Strategic PM Summit. Thanks for being here, John.
Thank you. Excited.
So I know why I'm bringing you in, because I know what you talk about. Business owners who are not familiar with you, that haven't been following you for 10 years, what might you tell them about the results that you deliver with the teaching that you give?
Yeah, so I'm all about the customer experience. Written 6 books on best-selling books on the customer and employee experience. And listen, you see it right now. Just in the past 6 months, the list is long with how many companies have filed bankruptcy in all industries, right? Joanne Fabrics, Spirit Airlines, Forever 21. Let's go TGIF. Boom, boom, boom. None of them are bad at customer service, right? And that's the thing. And everyone wants to know today where we're at with the recession, right? Is it inevitable? Did it start? I don't know. But what I can tell you is we've been in a customer service recession for over 4 years. And everyone listening, everyone attending is a customer service expert because we're all customers. So everyone knows what it's like being a consumer, a customer, a tenant, a patient, a resident, whatever it may be. We have an experience gap where with inflation, people are paying more and they're getting less. You have shrinkflation, you have tipflation, just the things that are pissing customers off left and right. So I think it's easy to really stand out and create an experience. And when you create an experience, you become, the brand that companies can't live without, and you make price less relevant. And you become less affected by third-party things like an election year, a mortgage collapse, a potential recession, the tariffs, all these things that are going crazy. You become less affected by those things. So, I don't want to be the cheapest. So, and my clients typically, they want to make price irrelevant, and that's what we like to help them.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit. I'm going to lean in on that.
Yeah.
I think that, some of the audience hears that and they think, oh, experience sounds fancy. Sounds like I'm going to have to hire more people, eat more costs. Like that just sounds like it's going to drive my cost up. Is that worth it? What would you say to somebody thinking that?
Listen, a couple things. One, I didn't clarify making price irrelevant. Making price irrelevant doesn't mean we could double our fees, prices, or even raise them 20% and not lose existing or potential customers. What making price irrelevant does mean is based on the experience our brand consistently delivers, our customers should have no idea what our competition charges. Right? And there's a lot to unpack there. Our brand consistently delivers means it can't be just dependent on one employee, right? But when you call the office and you get, it's called employee roulette, right? I get Jeremy today. Oh, great. Or he comes out to your property, you love Jeremy. But if Jeremy's off and you get someone else or someone I just hired or on the phone, and it's a completely different experience. No, it can't. Anyone you're dealing with at any touch point, and I'm price sensitive. I've driven 3 extra miles to save 50 cents on something, not realizing I just lost an exchange. But like you, we all deal with a few people in business and personally that have made us so loyal by the peace of mind, the relationship they built, the brilliant comeback they've made when they have dropped the ball, that I can't tell you how they compare to their competition because I'm not out price checking. But remind me, I went off on a tangent there. Remind me of the question. Hiring. No. So when we build, help companies build experiences, we try to match 4 criteria to anything that we'll add. The 4 criteria is it's no cost or low cost, extremely low cost. The second one is it's simple to do because listen, all our employees, they have a lot on their plate, right? And they're probably not overstaffed, right? And so we don't want to add 10 seconds to an interaction, right? Where, you're starting to go slower. You need more people on the phones. You need more maintenance people because we're doing all this. It has zero impact on productivity, which kind of goes the same thing. But the fourth one is it's a wow to the customer you're dealing with. So we can get to some examples of that. But no, it should all be done within the time you're already allowing, unless you're not allowing enough time and it's just a transaction, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, this is a great point because, it's using the resources you've already allocated that you already have, right? So it's not just, hey, you need to allocate more resources. Maybe you do up front. Maybe it's an investment you make. But what I've heard you talk about is it's, attitude, mindset, some of the things you can do so that, you got 90 seconds with a client. Those are the best 90 seconds you could have spent with them, right? You're going to respond to something. It is the best opportunity to fix that problem you could do, right? It's really about just using what you have in a more intentional way. Is that a fair way to summarize that?
Yeah, exactly. So listen, my first business started 32 years ago as a chain of upscale salons and spas in Northeast Ohio. You call up, to book an appointment to call center, they're taking a lot of calls, and their average, maybe call to schedule an appointment is a little bit over 2 minutes. I don't want, me to give them a bunch of things to do now that now makes the same appointment take 6 minutes. That would not be realistic. But within the time, right, I want them to answer professionally once they get you. Maybe they'll say, thank you for calling John Roberts Spa. This is Susan. Who do I have the pleasure of speaking with? Jeremy. Oh, Jeremy. And then they play, Jeremy, how's Florida? How's the kids? Did you enjoy your last haircut? Last month with Sandy, because it's right there in front of them, because then they pull it up. They use your name a couple times in that call. They collect some Ford family, occupation, recreation, and dreams that's in there. They schedule the appointment, and then they say, Jeremy, is there anything else I can do? Anything else I can do for you today? Making you feel like you're all they care about. Right? But they have 6 blinking lights, right? I mean, they got to go, but they don't want to make you feel like you're a transaction. Next, got to go. And you maybe you wanted to book a massage and, an appointment for your wife too, but they cut you off because, all right, haircut next Tuesday. See you. Goodbye. Right? So, hey, Jeremy, is there anything else I can help you with? And you might say, no, thanks for asking. Or actually there is, besides the haircut, I need, and that's good news, right? You're buying more. So it's basically within the time frame, but it's adding some experiential to the operational. I call it operational. Operational is when you check into a hotel, right? Every hotel you, I, and everyone has ever checked into, they ask you for your name, your ID, your credit card, right? And have you initial the date of departure and the room rate. Everyone does that. Okay. Got to do that. It's operational. But the only time operational is, and then they hand you the room key. The only time operational is memorable is when it's not done, right? When they give you the wrong room key, or you go into your room and it's a 2 beds and it was supposed to be a king, right? That's operational. Better be good. The experiential is when I see when you give me your driver's license, you're from Fort Lauderdale. Hey, how's the weather this time of year in Fort Lauderdale, right? I didn't have to go Google you. You handed me your driver's license. I could cheat. Hey, how's Florida this time of year? Or it says that you've been a customer before, so I say welcome back. And you feel like a VIP. All low hanging fruit.
That was great. You hinted at some stuff that I know you're going to be talking about, so I don't want you to give everything away. But I love that you were saying you're learning about their dreams, their family. I think this is a great reminder. By the way, I just absolutely love that you just said the only time you remember operations is when it doesn't go right. So what you're talking about is consciously, like on purpose, being less efficient. You're saying, hey, I think most employees have the mindset of like, I got this destination. I need to get their credit card. I need to get their license. I need to get them off of my desk. I need to move on, and you're saying, hey, slow down and create an experience. And by the way, you're going to find at the end of the day, it's going to add 6 minutes to your day of all of the interactions you had, but it might create, and this is what we talk about all the time, it's going to create leverage. It's going to be a little bit of investment. It's going to create a huge output. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. And I don't even know if it should add time. Like I said, as I'm talking, we're using the hotel example. You hand me your credit card and driver's license. Me to peek, besides that confirming it's you, right, is that, where your driver's license from, Fort Lauderdale. That didn't take any more time for me to say, how's Fort Lauderdale this time of year? Boom. It didn't add 10 seconds to that interaction, but we're starting to create a communication and you're like, it's hot as hell, or still a little cold, or whatever that may mean. So it's turning a transaction into an interaction, right? And it's being present. One of the things that world-class customer service companies do better than everyone is they remove personal interpretation. And what I mean by that is, if you look at most companies' customer service training or mantra, they'll say, deliver genuine hospitality, be customer centric, go above and beyond. Well, if you tell 100 people any of those, you're going to get 100 personal interpretations, right? Your genuine hospitality, my genuine hospitality, my 21-year-old, customer-facing employee are all different. So world-class customer service companies remove what that looks like, the personal interpretation. And so let's go to genuine hospitality in a face-to-face environment. My definition of genuine hospitality is the 5 E's. Okay, the 5 E's take less than 5 seconds to do. and they're measurable. The first three E's take 1 second to do simultaneously. Eye contact, enthusiastic greet, ear to ear smile. Eye contact, enthusiastic greet, ear to ear smile. So I come to your property, or you walk into my office, whatever it is. Jeremy, boom, I just did all three. Eye contact, enthusiastic greet, ear to ear smile. The fourth one's engage. Engage is about Jeremy, about what's going on in his life, what he needs. And then educate is every time someone talks to someone on your team in an email, over the phone, or face to face, they should leave that interaction saying, damn, there's no one smarter at their job than them. So, we don't want to just give, platitudes, treat every guest, or every resident, whatever. You got to make it specific so it's intentional and it's measurable, that we can say yes or no, again, without taking more, adding minutes to an interaction.
You don't have to go too deep in that, but that measurable part was really good. What do you mean by that? Can you expand on that for a second?
Yeah. So everything, we want is to be measurable. We say ATOM, ATOM, actionable, trainable, observable, measurable. So, a lot of our clients we work with, and we work with Chick-fil-A and Starbucks and Nordstrom's and all different types of companies, but they're all great. They're all great to begin with. No one bad hires us, right? Spirit Airlines doesn't call us, right? But what they do is they have something that's specific. So they have a customer experience action statement, if you will, to make moments matter. But what do you mean by that? Well, there's three ways, and these are just examples. The John Roberts Spa is to be the best experience in our guest day. Okay, how? All right, and the three pillars are know more, care more, give more. Know more is our expertise pillar, that we know our jobs, we're professional, we're accurate, we're timely. That's kind of the operational pillar, but we got to be great at that. The second pillar is care more, that you're not just next, you're not, the 745 club address, you're not the water heater leaking, that we can all transactionalize something, that you're a resident that has two kids and needs the air conditioning or the heater or whatever happening. And, that we know that you're a human being. And then the third pillar, in our case, give more, is the above and beyond component. What can we do to surprise and delight? So just making it actionable, making it measurable. One of my new things that I'm all into, and, is I want the person I'm interacting with, and I want my staff to do this too, is to make you feel that in this moment, because that's all we're doing, is in this moment, there's no one more important to me. Okay. To me, I feel that's measurable. It's absolutely measurable. If I'm not, like we're on a Zoom call right now, if I'm multitasking and looking over here because, there's a text from my son, and I'm picking up my phone, and I'm saying something, asking you a question that you just explained to me. A, that's a horrible experience, but B, you don't feel like the most important person in this moment, right? I want you to feel seen. I want you to feel heard, but we have to make it tactical, because the 21-year-old, the 25-year-old, we have to teach them what that looks like, and say yes or no, you're doing that.
That was a really, there's a lot that I loved about that, John. That was fantastic. I made a note. Hopefully I was not looking away from the camera. No, but know more, care more, give more. That kind of can make price irrelevant, by the way. I just want to say that as I heard that. So that was great. I had to write that down, and I was like, talk about in like a dedicated, easy way to not easy, but clear way to make price irrelevant. That's huge. So I had to.
And Jeremy, something I want to do with your attendees in August is have them answer 3 questions, and they should go back and do this with their entire organization. When a customer comes in contact with you, whoever you are in the organization, right? The maintenance person, the person on the phones, whoever, and whoever your customer is, the owner of the property, the resident, when a customer comes in contact with you, how do you want them to feel emotionally every time? And then, but you have to explain how you're going to do that, right? I want them to feel great. I want you to feel better. Okay, that's all. But how? What are you going to do tactfully every time that you achieve that with your 1030 and you achieve that with your 1215, and not just say, "Man, I crush it." The second question is, how do you want the customer to describe what it was like to work with you in that moment? In that moment, one of the mistakes that too many companies have is they think that customer loyalty is about the outcomes, right? If I call up and I need something repaired and you come and you fix that, he's going to be happy. Outcomes, unless we're talking about heart surgery, outcomes have least to do with customer loyalty. I expect that if I'm, renting from you and you're my management property, that if something goes wrong, you're going to come over and fix it. If you come over and fix it, I'm not calling my best friend and say, "Dude, you wouldn't believe, they came over and fixed the, whatever it is." That's assumed. It's the micro experiences. It's when I called and left a message, when I emailed, when I went on your website to fill out this, what was that like? Did I have to call 3 times to get you to show up? Every time I call, or I explained everything to you on the phone, and then the maintenance guy comes and he has no idea what's the problem. He didn't bring the right tools, or, I just went through all this on the phone yesterday. Why do I have to re-explain it to this person? He says, "Oh, sorry, I didn't realize that was the problem. I didn't bring the equipment, tools, or things to fix it." So it's about the micro experiences. So the 3 questions: how do you want your customers to feel emotionally every time? No excuses. Second one is, how do you want the customer to describe? So if I say, "Hey, who did you just deal with?" "I dealt with Jeremy." What was that like? What would you love for them to say? It's kind of like writing your 5-star Yelp review and then working backwards to intentionally get them to do that. And the third question is, what would it take for you to be the best moment of their day? And this is where people maybe get this part wrong. It's usually not finding the woman in the parking lot ready to give birth and you come and you deliver the baby, right? It's not about the heroic burning building, catching, whatever. It could be something simple, that knowing that, you're having a stressful day and I just come over and I know you have 2 kids and I ask them how they're doing, and isn't the one kid playing soccer this time of year? Or knowing that the owner you're dealing with, goes to Florida for the winter, and you're asking about how that, or it plays pickleball in a pickleball league, and you're making a connection, in those little things, or asking how your wife's surgery was that they mentioned to you 2 weeks ago, or that they were hoping their daughter was going to get accepted into Duke University, and you remember that. It's not the heroic things. It's just being human in the moment. That, and you got to remember what we're competing with. A lot of times we're competing with everyone else who's doing lousy customer service, treating us as a transaction, not making eye contact, saying, "No, we can't do that. That's against our policy." So it doesn't take much to be a really positive moment in someone's day, besides going over, answering the call, or taking care of the, whatever the service may be.
I love it. I want to just tease out that there's a bunch of questions I'm purposely not asking you, because we're going to talk about them when you come to the summit. Like, what do customers really want? Don't give it away. I'll just say that I know from experience, 25 years in business, when you ask a customer what they want, it's not always what they really want. And it's not always what they respond to, right? And it's our job to learn what works. When I do this, I get a better result, right? They didn't tell me they wanted that, but when I do that, I get a better result. Like, we got to pay attention to that. But
let me just add a little bit to that, Jeremy. My favorite Steve Jobs quote, and I have a lot of them, is, "Don't ask the customers what they want, give them what they can't live without." And so if you think about the revolutionary companies that back in the day when they entered, Airbnb or Starbucks or Uber, or all the revolutionary companies that the industries didn't look anything like they do today, they didn't do focus groups. They didn't ask customers what they wanted, because they wouldn't have got, if I would have asked, you 12 years ago, hey, Jeremy, what would you like in a cab driving experience? You would have said, a cab, what? Like, what do you mean experience? I don't want it to be disgusting smell, hot as hell, and, struggling, communicating with the driver, and he hands me his GPS to type in the address, right? You just say, I don't want that. You wouldn't say, I'd like to be able to step on any street corner at 2 p.m. or 2 a.m. and have a strange unmarked car pull up and you'd get in and drive off with the person, right? So, we don't, Henry Ford said it best, if I would ask people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses, right? Yep. Your summit is not about building faster horses. Let's stop acting like, property management companies and just be a great resource for our residents, our employees, and our owners, things that they've never heard of in the industry before.
What we're trying to do, John. That's why we're bringing you in. I appreciate that. Now I got the right guy. So you said something. All right, so I want to shift attention from owners and residents. I want to shift it to our employees. So one of the things I hear a lot is, I'd love to build a company that had more, more customer service, more raving fans. But you got to realize who I'm dealing with here. I'm hiring this kind of person, or I'm doing that because that's where my economics are. And I don't know if I agree with that, but that's I want to put that in your head. That's what people are saying. And I'll also say that a lot of people in this industry are moving towards, offshore talent, right? Somebody in South America or Mexico. They're very talented people, but they've never been to a Chick-fil-A. They've never walked up and had a raving fan experience from a 19-year-old or even a 16-year-old who just knew exactly what to do. They just don't get that, right? Yeah. So I wrote down Adam, right? And one of the takeaways is you're just saying, you're escaping the velocity of what does business owners do, because we get this stuff intuitively. We're like, just think like me, but we can't put our brain in their head. It's impossible. We need to describe it. We need to put it down. But then we also need to, what is the old saying? Like, you can't just win over the minds. You have to win over the hearts. Right. So I know you talk a lot about creating an experience for your employees, for your team members. And I've seen that may be the biggest payoff we can do because, the old Southwest, right? Don't take care of your customers, take care of your employees, don't take care of your customers. So talk about that. What are your ideas and lessons on creating amazing experiences for your employees so that they actually want to pay that forward?
Yeah. And, one of my biggest pet peeves I get right now with business owners and leaders is complaining about the Gen Zs and how horrible and lazy and entitled and I say, isn't the Ritz-Carlton and Chick-fil-A hiring from the exact same labor pool? They don't pay them any better than their competition, but yet they're getting crazy results. And it's about it's about what you do with that employee after you hire them. It's about the training culture and values that you constantly remind them. It's not a one-day thing, but we all have to work on increasing the service aptitude of our employees. And, I don't know about you, Jeremy, but I didn't grow up staying at five-star resorts, flying first class, getting a Mercedes-Benz when I turned 16. But every job I had since I was in high school, I was expected to give that type of experience. And it wasn't realistic. The best experience I might have had was, a Taco Bell and shopping at, some, dollar store or whatever. So I didn't know what world-class looks like. So you can't, treat customers the way you want to be treated is not a good compass for our employees because they don't know what world-class. So we got to teach them. And it's what we do with them and the training that we put them through. I love asking people this. If you hire my son, my youngest son is Bo, 22 in college. If you're hiring tomorrow to work for you in a customer-facing position, how much training would you give him before you cut him loose and allow him to start answering the phones, going to your resident's house, whatever that is? And some people say 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months. I'm like, okay, good. That's not the answer I'm looking for. Here's the answer I'm looking for. Of the 40 hours, 400 hours, or 4,000 hours of training, how much of it will be operational, processes, procedures, taking the credit card and filling out the paperwork, and how much of it would be soft skill, creating a rapport, showing compassion and empathy, making a brilliant comeback when they drop the ball. And in most places, people, it's like 98, 99% operational and very little. And there has to be a representation of the soft skills. We are living in a relationship disadvantaged epidemic time right now. Okay. No fault of their own, 30 and under, just don't have the relationship people skills that we were forced to have. Okay. But all generations, people skills have declined. So we got to put that back into them, and we got to show them what compassion and empathy is. We've got to show them what curiosity is, what good listening skills is. So all those things need to be it. And then you're giving them the superpowers, and we got to treat them well. We got to, a couple quick things, we got to create a recruitment experience. Why a recruitment experience is so needed today is because 10, 15, 50 years ago, if an employee heard you were hiring, they'd apply and hope that they got the job. Today, they know it's an employee market, and they're not only applying with you, but they're applying with 5 other companies, maybe in and outside of your industry, and they're seeing who gives them the best deal. And the best deal could be pay. It could be work from home flexibility. It could be, who knows, whatever that is to them. So now I know that, you might be, you're going from my interview at our company to another interview at another company right after or right before. I want that interview process, and it's hard to get a job at these companies. They don't hire you on the first interview, right? It's going to be 3 or 4, but you're going to want the job. When you go to the next company, it's going to pale in comparison. But we also got to make the interview process ungameable, right? And what I mean by that is anyone can act for 30 minutes. If you're interviewing me, I know you're probably going to ask me some question like, John, what are your 2 drawbacks? I'm going to think, and I'm going to say, I'm a workaholic and I'm a perfectionist, right? Bam, I nailed that question. And so the best companies, they make their interview process ungameable, where the candidate doesn't know what they're being judged on. Meaning, like on a group interview, a lot of companies do group interviews for the first round. Instead of spending 6 hours with 6 individual people, they'll bring all 6 on the first interview. And they'll go around and say, tell me a time when you went above and beyond for a customer, right? Something like that. And the candidates think that they're being judged on who has the best answer, right? Oh, Jeremy just said, I could crush that story. I'm going to tell a better story so I look better, right? What they're really being judged on is what they're doing when they're not answering, right? Are they looking at their Apple Watch? Are they looking at their iPhone? Are they checked out? Are they just trying to think of a better answer? Or are they looking at the other person who is talking, smiling and nodding and making them feel good, right? And so it's a lot of things like that to make the interview process ungameable, because there's certain things, all the training in the world, if you don't genuinely like people, right? 10,000 hours of training isn't going to get you to like people. So I want to find that out on the interview process. And there's little techniques you can find out that the person really doesn't know what they're being judged on. So I think the employee experience is critical. What happens on the inside is going to get delivered on the outside.
I want to share a story about my first job, because I think it's like perfect about why I was 17 and selling very expensive To-Me luggage sets to people that had no business buying them from me. But I want to say that in a second, because I think it's exactly what you've done. And like, exactly, we can turn anybody into anybody with the right program. But,
and the funny thing about that, Jeremy, is think about this. At 17, you would never have spent that much money on luggage. You would have thought that was stupid and ridiculous, but now you have to sell that and be convinced why other people should. That's a big disconnect if you don't train the person.
And so I'll just share that very quickly, because I think it's right on what you're saying. So I'm 16, I got my first car. Parents were like, you got to get a job. I go to the mall for like Christmas job, right? I go to all the cool stores. I put on my applications at the Gap, all the, fun places where all the cute girls are. Yeah. Person calls me back is Bentley's luggage, right? Bentley's luggage calls me back. It's like To-Me luggage and Montblanc pens and all these things. And, anyway, I show up to the meeting, like, just a t-shirt and jeans, because I'm 16. And I get berated by the manager for not wearing a tie to the meeting, right? Talk about interview experience.
Yeah.
Takes a chance on me, tells me he's taking a chance on me. It's like it's a holiday job, John. It's like I'm gonna be there a max of like 8 weeks. They will not let me on the sales floor until I pass 2 weeks of sales training. I know everything about the zippers on luggage, which by the way,
Right.
the most important thing about luggage. I know why the Tumi is worth more than the Hartman, which is worth more than the Samsonite. I
And
know
I'm guessing they
Boston.
taught you, I'm guessing, because when, the airport guy throws that thing
Yeah,
because he's going to,
yeah,
it's going to last a hell of a lot longer. So they taught you on teaching that it's actually cheaper to buy
yeah.
Tumi luggage versus the cheap stuff that you're going to have to replace every 3 or 6 months because it's going to get destroyed if you travel.
100%. This was back in the day. So I'm a lifelong, this happened to me when I was 17. I'm 45. I'm a lifelong Tumi customer to this day because of this, which they weren't even Tumi. This was, a retailer. But this was back in the days where it was a lifetime guarantee. Like you could just send in a bag from 25 years ago and they would.
Yeah.
But here's me, 17 years old, in the mall, 8:30 on Tuesday night. Mall closes at 9. Some probably, major CEO walks in and says, "Hey, I'm way overdue. I need some luggage. We're going on this huge trip. I need something really nice. Like, what do you have?" I would walk him over the Toonie. And like he bought, this was in the 90s. He'd check out with $3,000 worth of suitcases. And so I just think it's such a great example of it was the training. It was simple. It was easy for me to understand. They told me to say a few things. All the training you're talking about, I took care of them. I cared about them. Like I knew that stop everything the second a customer walked in. Anyway, you just
I
remind
love
me.
that. And you made price irrelevant because it literally was. I mean, it was 5 to 10 times more expensive than competitor
Yeah.
on the day of the purchase, but not over the lifespan of 10, 15 years. It's a bargain.
And I really wrote down, like, this is it. Like, I knew more, I cared more, and I was willing to give more just in terms of like the attention. This guy was in a rush. We knew we had a back door, and if like they wanted to, like, you don't want to walk out of a long mall corridor with like 5 suitcases. So
Love
I
that.
pull
Pull
around,
your
like,
car
I'll
up.
put it in the back, like we'll do everything. It was so simple, and it's just
Yeah.
it's a great personal reminder to me that there's no excuse. So it's like, oh, it's different in my industry. It's like look at a 17-year-old kid selling $3,000 luggage
Right.
suitcases in the 90s. Like this is crazy.
Yeah.
So I love
Yeah.
that. Yeah. All right. I want to wrap up on this or a couple of things, but really appreciate this. And I know you're holding back on all the crazy stuff we're going to share. Local service providers, I think, are huge. That's what our, property management clients do. They're in a market. They want people want local knowledge. They want to deal with local people. And you know what that means? We look at reviews. We go online. We look for reputation. Like it's 2025. We're not stuck in a mall with one luggage provider. We have infinite choice. So I'm seeing that what you're doing creates stories, creates reviews, creates reputation. So just kind of walk through, kind of that domino that we're setting off when we create these experiences.
Yeah, listen, it's all about the ROX, return on experience. And we got to justify it, right? And so how do you justify it? It's longer retention on our customer, whether it's a resident or the homeowner and employee, right? Retention on all three that we're not, turning over on them. It's, so it's occupancy rates, it's retention rates, it's price you're getting for or you're being able to charge for that, so you don't have to chase price when someone else is charging less on either end of the thing. So it's about creating a return on experience, a dashboard where these KPIs justify from a top and bottom line that this is the best investment you can make. And you're seeing it now. A weak economy exposes poor customer service companies. And the rest, the good ones are less impacted by the things we can't control.
Well, it's clear to me, John, watching you for 10 years, maybe more at this point. I'm so glad I ran into you and I've been following you. It's true. clear to me that you do know more, you do care more, right? And you want to give more to everybody, which is why I'm really excited. I think you're going to share some crazy ideas. I love what you said earlier in the interview, which is, I'm going to paraphrase. You said something about what I thought was great, was like, you're not here to just be a copycat of another business. You're here to say, what's the experience I want to create? What do I want them to talk about? What do I want them to remember? What do I want them to tell their friends about? And that's so simple to say, but it takes intention. It takes a lot of work. But I think that is strategy, right? It's called the Strategic PM Summit. When I think about strategy, it typically is beginning with the end in mind. And I love that you really say that. It's like, what do I want them to say when they leave? And not just like, what policy do I need to put in place? And I think you've said this before. I don't want to run my business based on the worst 5% of my clientele. I want to
don't punish 95% of your customers for what you're afraid 5% are going to try to get away with.
Yes. And I think that is a great point to leave it on. I appreciate you, John. You do great.
I can't wait, Jeremy. I hope all you listening come, bring your key leaders. I promise you the only regret will be the people that you wish had heard this message.
Yeah, actually, John, do you mind saying that? Because we talked about this before, but you were really adamant that you want to make sure the key decision makers are here, right? Do you want to just expand on that?
Yeah. So, myself, owning 3 businesses, I know that if I attend a conference, a workshop, I'm going to get all pumped up, bring it back. But the people that weren't there, and I'm not going to do it. Like I'm not the doer, right? So I may fail in translating. Oh, I want you to do everything I heard. Let me look at my notes. Yeah, I won't do it as well. If I just send my key people, but I don't go, they're going to come back all fired up, but they won't have my buy-in. I'm like, whoa, what do you mean? I'll hold on here. And if we both go, they're going to get my buy-in, my executive sponsorship, but they're going to know, that it's on them. And we both heard the same message, and there's accountability there of like, all right, here's our top 3 priorities that we took away that I want you to go back. And the next 90 days, I want this implemented in law in our company.
Well said. It's the fastest way. Better than taking notes, better than setting accountabilities. Bring the people that need to do this stuff, get them fired up, let them hear it firsthand, not play a game of telephone. That is the way to make the most of this. I appreciate that.
My pleasure. Thank you. I'm really excited. Honored to be part of this event. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, you've been on my mind a long time for this industry, and I think they need to meet you. So I appreciate it.
Thanks, Jeremy.
This episode is brought to you by Strategic PM, the magazine for property management entrepreneurs and executives. If you go online to strategicpm.com today, you're going to find an entire website full of content written about your industry and by your peers. And it's completely free to sign up. Just go ahead and click on the create a free account right in the upper right-hand corner. When you click on that, not only can you create a digital account, but you can actually add your mailing address and we will send you a free 1-year subscription of the print magazine, which will be showing up in your offices every single quarter. So if you take a look inside the magazine, what you're going to see is that we are focused on growth. We've got 5 pillars of Strategic PM: vision, strategy, culture, marketing, and experience. You're going to be seeing some great high-class content from some of the best thought leaders in the industry talking about the matters that matter the most to your business. So sign up for free today at strategicpm.com and look for the magazine in your office. Hey, thanks for sticking around for that interview. And all the businesses that I've started or been a part of building, some of the best ideas came from outside the industry. And that's a big part of what we do here at Strategic PM. We not only share case studies from within the property management industry, but we bring you stories to inspire you, to keep you innovating and pushing the industry forward. I hope you got something out of that conversation with John and I. And if you did, please leave a comment or share this episode with a friend or colleague in the industry. Okay, let's jump into the event calendar. Coming up soon, we've got the NARPM Northwest Regional Conference in Portland, Oregon, and that's on May 12th to the 14th. On May 21st to the 23rd, we're Rentvine is hosting their inaugural user conference in Tampa, Florida. And we've got Southern States, the NARPM conference for all of the states in the South. June 11th to 13th, Jen and I will be speaking there, and we'll have several of our coaches there for you to meet. And of course, the main event that we've been talking about, the Strategic PM Summit in Fort Lauderdale, Florida at the Tower Club on August 21st and 22nd. It's a Thursday and Friday, so you can make it a long weekend and enjoy the beaches in Fort Lauderdale. You can meet us. You can meet speakers like John DiJulius, Mike Michalowicz, Kate Volman, and a number of the leaders from the industry. We hope to see you out live at one of those events soon. But in the meantime, make sure that you're subscribed to Strategic PM on YouTube, LinkedIn, or Facebook so you can catch all of our episodes. And you can also watch past episodes there and on Spotify if you're new to the show. And that's what's happening this week in PM.